So the builders who are thriving are the ones who step away from defending their price and start explaining their value. Welcome back, everyone, to another midweek Modern Craftsman podcast. I hope that everyone enjoyed their holiday, their July 4th. We had nice weather, but we had a very long weekend, that of which I am not ready to dig into, but instead, what I'm going to speak about today is a conversation that I had with a new consulting client. And one of the topics that we covered was what you should be showing clients, what you don't need to be showing clients on estimates, on budgets, and why I believe full transparency is king. It creates the trust, which is why my clients hire me. So we're going to dig into that topic more comprehensively here today. But at the end of the day, for me, it's all about establishing and maintaining that trust through transparency, and why that big number at the end or the beginning of your budget really means nothing without understanding all of those small numbers, and why they are equally, if not more important than the big number. So most builders, most of my consulting clients that I speak with, they provide their clients or their customers with this big number because they don't want to dig into what makes up that number. They don't want to have the conversations as to their markups, what's making up those numbers, what their profits are, what their margins are. They want to present them with the number. They don't want it to be a la carte, and that number is the number. And oftentimes that's what clients believe that they want to see, right? The rest of it doesn't really matter. They want to see what that big number is. And often that's the determining factor in if we get hired or we don't get hired. And to me, I did have that mindset for a long time. I was taught that mindset. I was even, based my model off of an article that I read in JLC probably a dozen years ago off that model, even with pre-construction. But I have changed probably the past 5-7 years. I don't do it that way. I give them everything they need. They see my markups. They see what I pay people. They see what I charge, my hourly rates, everything, full transparency. And there are ways that you can adjust that and manipulate that for optics if you need to be making money in different areas. Yes, there are ways to do that. But realistically, I want to be transparent with my customers. I want them to understand what makes the big number and why. Everyone has a budget. All of our clients have a budget. Even if they have more money than God, they have a budget. And clients, realistically, they're rarely being unreasonable when they say that a number feels too high. That's just their gut. That's what it's telling them. Maybe there's no basis for that, but that's not unreasonable from their perspective. So we perpetuate that entire notion because we lead with the total project cost. We expect our clients just to get it. We expect our clients to make that decision based on the whole cost. We when we ask for a budget, we're looking for a big number. We're not asking them what you want to spend on finishes, what you want to spend on cabinets, what you want to spend on the infrastructure of the home, the envelope of the home, right? We're just asking them a big number. So that's what we're creating a lot of this, and that's what our clients are using to base their decision, to make their selection as to which contractor to use. And to me, there's a really, really fundamental problem with that, in that the big number doesn't really mean anything without understanding everything that goes into it. And what I mean by that is if I price a job and I'm a small contractor with a low overhead and I make my money a certain way and I have a certain level of execution and detail and process and system and products that I use, and another contractor, which does bigger work, relies on smaller markups, has a higher overhead, and maybe the numbers wind up being the same, but you're going to get two completely different experiences and two different levels of finish between that contractor and me. So the client should, one, in that situation, understand what's important to them, because the price may be the same with that respect. On the other side of the coin, maybe the larger contractor is more money because they have a higher overhead. They have, more bills to pay. They have a more substantial business. They have a showroom, everything else. But maybe the quality of the work isn't as good. So if you're not concerned with all of the qualities and attributes and characteristics of that bigger company and what they can do for you being a bigger company, maybe the price doesn't really mean anything because you're going to pay more for them when you're just concerned with the quality of the work and the experience and the tidiness and living in the house during the renovation and having one point of contact and not having a bunch of subs through your house. So it doesn't matter what that number is, right? Two different contractors, say the quality is the same, but I use a different product that has a better warranty that holds up longer. So like level of finish, yeah, on the outside, all the work is clean, but what if the underneath won't last as long? So these are the reasons why I like to be fully transparent. I like to explain every number that goes into every job, why it's that way. To me, this is a huge differentiator. It's a really great way for me to sell my product, my process, to create a value proposition for my clients and sell that product, sell my product, right? So I would rather, I will have the conversation around budget and what they want to spend, but I want to ensure that my clients truly understand what's going into that. And a lot of this comes from what I believe is a disconnect between us and our clients, or what our clients are thinking and what they're getting. And in order to, I guess, better illustrate this, I'll give you a scenario here. So what if I had a client and they came to me and they wanted a kitchen, and I didn't understand numbers, and I presented them with a $200,000 kitchen budget all in. And the client said, in their head, I wanted to spend $150. You're too expensive. We can't hire you. Another contractor gave them the $150,000 job, and they're going to go with them. Thanks for your time, but we're not interested. You're too much money. You may feel as though they don't value your work, but maybe they just don't understand what's behind that number. And that emotional or possibly transactional disconnect can be what's actually killing the deal, what's preventing you from moving forward. And maybe that client's just looking at those big numbers. And if you were to have the conversation to them as to why there was an additional $50,000 on that project, or what you're compensating for, what you are planning for, what that includes that the other project does not include. One, maybe it's way more than $50,000 worth of value, and at the end of the day, your job in the grand scheme of things is actually less money than the other contractor. And two, what if there's things in there that client doesn't want that you can pull out and get down to their 150, still hit their program, still meet their needs, still reach their level of expectations, and you're also preserving and protecting your margins. So you're not just cutting your numbers, you're not just reducing your markups, you're not just reducing your margins and your profitability, but you're giving them less and you're getting them what they want, and it's not costing you any money. So these are just a few reasons why I believe there's just a massive disconnect between this big number and all the small numbers that go into that, and what clients believe and why they're making and how they're making these decisions. So why do the little numbers on a budget, on an estimate, on a spreadsheet matter so much, not only for you, but for your clients? First off, and I mentioned this before, but transparency builds trust. When your clients see the numbers, if there's any questions that they have, when you have established the numbers and taken the time to refine your budget to understand what the cost of each labor item and material is, you do not have an issue answering questions with regard to those numbers. If somebody feels that a number's too high for a material, for a cabinet, for a hardware, for a subcontractor, for a labor cost, and you understand what went into making that. And there's probably things that you accounted for and things that you captured in that cost that you understand is the true cost of doing the work to meet their expectations. You can justify that. You can substantiate that through a conversation, through financials, through the math, through the numbers, to build that credibility, build that rapport, and ensure that your clients trust you. When you have nothing to hide, it creates so much trust with your clients. And at the end of the day, most of your clients are going to hire you, yes, because you're meeting their program, but two, because they trust you, because they trust you're not going to take advantage of them, because they trust you're going to take care of their family and you're going to protect what is probably their biggest financial investment. So if you cannot justify the numbers, if you can't justify the markups, the materials, the labor, the fees, the client may push back. They may begin to wonder, well, if he doesn't know, what's he hiding in here, right? This line item compared to this line item, or the contractor who didn't show any line items, just seems excessively high. I feel like they're taking advantage of us. But if you're able to have that conversation as to why that number is, yes, it is excessively high, and this is why, because we spoke with the mason and he said that this is the issue here with this design. It's not going to work the way that it's drawn, so we priced it that way, but we could actually probably save you 15-20% if we redesign and value engineer it and complete and execute the project in this way. So now you're not only building trust, you're building credibility, but now you're offering to save them money, which is just building that rapport and building that trust with your clients, and also showing good faith on your behalf. So all said and done, your clients might have a better understanding as to why that $200,000 number might actually be fair, or it might actually be a better bargain, more value than the $150,000 kitchen that they were going to go with the other guy. There's a million reasons why your number may be higher. It could be that, they selected, you planned on using tile in the kitchen and the rest of the contractors were putting in a pre-finished hardwood, right? That you priced custom kitchens, custom millwork, and the other contractor was pricing semi-custom. That you priced it or budgeted for appliance costs that were mid to upper end, and the other contractor wanted to look more appealing, and they priced a lower grade of appliance. So there's a million reasons why, and having the full transparency to have those conversations with your clients, again, is a huge reason why my clients hire me. I am not afraid to dig into the numbers. I'm not afraid to show them everything. I'm not afraid to tell them what I charge per hour and why. Because I understand that the value is there. I understand that I'm not getting rich by doing all of this. I understand that sometimes I still have trouble making ends meet doing this type of work, but that ensures that you are not taking advantage of your clients. So the answer for you, right, with this, when somebody says, hey, you're too expensive, and you have all of these numbers to show them, the thing is, you can't just slash your prices. And that's what so many of us do, right? We either lose the job, don't say anything about it. This client wants the job done for unrealistic numbers. Somebody else will do it. We never have that conversation. Or we have that conversation. We show them all of our numbers. We prove that the value's there. And possibly we offer the opportunity to, hey, if 200 is too much and you wanted to be at 150, do you want to redesign this? Do you want to address this project to ensure that we hit that $150,000 budget? But I can't include everything that we included before, and here's why. And here's some options that we can use to reduce the price. And then you are meeting their program, you're meeting their expectations, you're allowing them to spend their own money how they see fit, and you're also creating that trust with that client. You're not defending yourself. You're not getting angry. You're not getting upset. You're realizing that there's a disconnect, and you are educating them as to why why there's value there, and you understand if they don't value those things, and you're willing to work with them to meet their program and meet their needs and meet their expectations to try and get closer to their budget so that they get the job that they want while you protect the margins that you need as a business. Because at the end of the day, you need to make money. You need to pay your employees, you need to pay your subcontractors, your overhead, everything. And you should know your numbers, and you should know that just slashing your pricing is never going to help you. It's never going to help you in the short term. It's never going to help you a day from now. It's never going to help you in the long term. It is shooting yourself in the foot. And I would rather see you walk away from those projects than engage those clients. What are some ways that you can protect your margins while meeting the client's needs, right? So you're going to reduce the cost of this job, but it's not going to make you less money. You need to spend less time there. You can simplify the design. You can simplify the layout. You can simplify the resources it requires to meet their needs. You can create efficiencies within the process, right? If they were looking at phasing the project, maybe you can say, hey, we do this all at once. Then there's not the staging and setup to do the job essentially 1.5 times. You can offer material substitutions, right? Where it's like, hey, I understand you really wanted this, but with this cabinet type, this is the challenges associated with that, and it's 30% more money. I think that we can get a similar look by moving to this type of cabinet and trimming it in this style. We can save you the money. You can also adjust the timelines, right? If they're under a strict timeline, maybe, hey, maybe this job goes a little bit longer and we're not overlapping subs, and we can reduce our management fees slightly so that we're not overlapping and running this job to get it done to meet your deadline of before Christmas. And we don't have to pay everyone extra time to deal with the aggravation and the headache that goes along with that. Maybe we wait to start this until after the new year so that we're not setting up and breaking down multiple times between Halloween, Thanksgiving, Rosh Hashanah, Hanukkah, Christmas, all of those things. So there's ways that you can adjust the timeline or work around a different timeline that will actually possibly reduce the price of the job. Even maybe just, hey, our subs are slammed right now. Let's give them 3 months and the numbers will come down. There's a million ways that you can value engineer a project. But typically for me, it comes down to creative problem solving, clear communication, and honest, realistic budgeting. It's not just saying, hey, yeah, we can make 150 work. It's understanding what we need to do to make 150 work in a manner that is not taking food off of your plate. I don't want to swap a material that's going to make my life harder or make me come back and have to warranty that job a million times over, right? So if we're making a substitution, I want to ensure that it is a substitution that makes sense and protects us. If we're simplifying a layout, I want to make sure that we are not removing the character from the design, that we're not compromising the integrity of design, that they're not now spending $150,000 on something that just isn't nice, right? Because in that situation, I would probably try and convince them to stay closer to where they are, or maybe reduce to $175,000. So you want to understand what saves them money. Another thing that you can propose to them, realistically, so much of this is the foundation of the pre-con process. And I know that Nick and I pitch pre-con all the time, but if you are able to spend a small amount of money upfront and time to serve as a consultant in this project, you can really suit their needs and tailor this project to fit their timeline, their budget, their expectations, while getting paid for that work, because you're pre-planning, you're pre-selecting, and you are building the job on paper to suit their needs and their program. From a business perspective, you will become far more successful. You will have a better relationship with your clients. You will have a better lead intake with new clients if you can adopt this mindset. So the builders who are thriving are the ones who step away from defending their price and start explaining their value. Early on in my career, I wanted to defend my price. Well, I need to do this. Well, I need to do that. Well, my insurance is this much. And it was just about the cost of the work. It wasn't about anything other than the cost of the work. And I was defending the price rather than explaining the value, right? I look at it now as though, okay, yeah, it's more money. This is why. This is what you're getting for that. We don't have to do that. But if you want to spend less money, we have to reduce the amount of inputs and resources that are going into that job. I cannot give you a $200,000 kitchen for $150,000. That would be silly. That's what so many of us do. And that is not a smart business perspective. You are better off doing nothing than working a project at a $50,000 handicap. Not only are you going to be bleeding money, you're going to be paying and funding for that renovation, but you are now paying a massive number to opportunity cost. You're paying your guys and girls to be on a job that there's no equity in it. There's no financial reward, and you're also missing out on the opportunity to be working on a project that is lucrative, that does meet your needs from a business. So you can't just view this from the perspective of, hey, you know what? It's going to be a portfolio builder. I'm doing it for a little bit less. I'll concede some of this work, because you're not only investing the money in it, you're not only funding the renovation, you are committed to a scope of work, a timeline that prevents you from doing more equitable work. So again, your big number in these cases really is irrelevant if you cannot walk your client through every dollar. That $200,000 kitchen means nothing if they're just juxtaposing that to a $150,000 kitchen with no details. They may be two completely different things. That $150,000 kitchen may be IKEA cabinets, and yours are high-end handmade cabinets built in, central Pennsylvania with a hand-brushed finish. And so, yeah, the $50,000, that $200,000 job is way more value than the $150,000. It's not just a $50,000 concession. You are getting two completely different products, and for another $50,000, you are getting a much more valuable kitchen. So understanding the relevance of everything that goes into these jobs, understanding how each of these decisions, each of these line items, each of these tasks impacts the overall big picture is the only way to properly preserve, protect your margins, and not sacrifice your business needs, your ethos, your numbers, in order to appease a client. So the next time a client says, hey, that's too expensive, you can't just place that on the client, right? You can't get upset. Maybe they didn't know, maybe they did, but you can't just get upset. You have to look inward. You have to ask yourself, did I explain this properly? Did I sell the value of the job, or did I just provide them with the number? Did I just sell the cost of the job? Did I do a good job advocating for myself and what's included and what's involved in this? Did I break it down properly so that they can ask the appropriate questions to either justify or not justify spending the extra money? But you can't just walk away from this disappointed because a client told you you're too expensive. It's all relevant, right? It's all relevant. Maybe they just can't spend more than $150,000. And maybe they really want to work with you, but they just think that your work's too much money because you're including a lot of things that they actually don't need and they don't care for. And there's ways for you to make the exact same margins on that project by reducing scope, simplifying design, possibly bringing in different subcontractors, and not sacrificing your needs from a financial and business perspective to meet your client's needs. So it's really important to understand the numbers of your job. It's really important in my perspective to provide them with these line item budgets, to give them something to compare to other contractors, to encourage them to ask the questions why, to dig into your numbers, to ask for clarity, to understand everything that's going into the job and what makes you you. What differentiates your business? Because your business is differentiated by your marketing, your execution, your product, but also your processes, your numbers, the subcontractors you're using, the materials that you're using, the markups and the margins and the price point for your labor. That's all differentiators for your business. So if you want to stand and set yourself apart, you have to fully understand those numbers. You have to fully understand the value in those numbers, the value in those products, the value in those processes. To me, that's more important, way more important than just saying it's $200,000, take it or leave it, or hey, they told me I was too expensive, and then just walking away for that conversation, because maybe they just don't have the right perspective. Maybe they just don't have the knowledge, the understanding of how this works. And if you're not willing to educate them on that, if you're not willing to possibly value engineer this project in the right way, then you are going to struggle from a business perspective. So hopefully that's some food for thought for you guys. A lot going on in life right now, a lot going on in business. This one is fairly quick, a little less than a half hour here. I hope that you enjoyed it. I think that there was a ton of information here. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me, Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com. If you are interested in any sort of consulting call, I'm doing them first come, first serve. I usually do a couple a week. Try and do between 2 and 3 a week. I have some regular customers that fill up some of my schedule, but it is first come, first serve. I try not to book more than a couple weeks out in advance just because things change, life changes. My schedule changes, so I have my normal return clients, and then I leave a little bit of buffer in there for some new people who want to hop on a call, even if it's just a single call. A lot of people want to hop on and want some insight or want some questions answered and want me to look at their P&L, or they want to gain some perspective as to what I do as a business, or just look at their numbers, look at their margins, tell them where they need to make some quick changes. The value is there tenfold, in my opinion. So if you're interested in that, shoot me an email, Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com. And the one last thing I'm going to leave you with today is that I don't know when this is going to come out, but Nick and I are running a pretty substantial sale on our pre-con course, which a lot of this type of stuff is included in that pre-con course. So a quick, I guess, update on that. We're on version 3.0. The big push that we just recently made on the course is to consolidate a bunch of it, get all of these PDFs, all of these documents, all of these downloads in one spot for you. And then we also created a bunch more content and templates for subcontractor engagement with a master agreement, job specific agreement for subcontractors. You have this master agreement, and then we have job specific work orders. So that template that you can use to engage your subs, so you have legitimate sub engagement and contracts with them. So that's the push for the version 3.0. By the time this comes out, you'll have already missed a workshop that we held specifically on the ethics and the legalities behind engaging subcontractors to protect yourself, your subs, your clients. You will have missed the 1 hour flash sale for this course, but I believe until July 21st, we're going to have the course on a pretty big super sale. So it's going to be for sale for 10 days afterwards. So if you're interested in that, I believe it's 25% off if you didn't attend the workshop. So you can reach out to me or Nick or Tyler at trghomeconcepts.com, hello at moderncraftsman.co. You can reach out to us on Instagram. You can get that coupon code to purchase that at 25% off. That's what I'm leaving you with today. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I still have a lot to do today just from catching up from things that are going on in my life, but I hope everyone had a good holiday. Everyone who reached out to me the past week or so, I really appreciate it. Super kind of you. As always, I love the community. I love the support that I get. I love the friendships. that I've developed over the years, a lot of people that I've never met in person, and really, really super kind and genuine. And it's been an emotional week here in the Grace household, but I appreciate all the support, all the notes, emails, DMs, comments. I really, really do appreciate it, and I can't thank you all enough. So I'll catch you guys next week. Thank you.